Hello and welcome back to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. Today we're having the opportunity to speak with Roger Gu. Roger, welcome to Around the Clock.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys
And
for having me.
did I get that last name right?
Goo. Yep.
Gu. Okay, great. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're an Ashland resident, or were an Ashland resident. When did you swim here in Ashland?
So I swam throughout high school and I graduated 2016.
Okay, and then you went on to Tufts
Yep.
and you swam on their team. What was that like, making that transition from high school to college?
I thought it was a pretty easy transition. I think that was mostly due to like the coaching staff at Ashland being very supportive and like definitely helping to prepare me for my time at Tufts. And like the team cultures were actually very similar. It was very much a group of friends who were like swimming together and like having a good time. So yeah, I
Nice.
didn't think the transition was too tough or anything.
Okay, you were just at the Olympic trials. The Olympics were supposed to be last year.
Hmm.
So what preparations and how did that happen that they didn't happen last year for you, and what was that like?
Yeah. So when I first heard that they were being postponed for a year, that kind of made me like wary about like whether or not I was going to go. But because like the few months before trials happened, like the pool started to open up again. I decided like, why not? It's probably like realistically for me at least like a once in a lifetime thing. So I swam for maybe like 2-ish months before. Um, and yeah, I mean, once I decided to like start getting back in, I guess in my mind I committed to going.
Now, what allowed you to qualify to even go to the trials?
So the right after my junior year season of college or of like swimming in college,
Hmm.
I swam at a like random like season opener long course meet. Because for trials you actually have to swim like a long course time
Okay.
versus in college we race short course. So like we race 25 yards normally, but then to qualify for trials and like at the Olympics they swim 50 meters.
Okay.
So I had to swim at a meet to like meet the time standard.
And what meet did you wind up competing in?
Um, it was the meet at like Brown, I think. It was just like a club meet,
Okay. And what distance did you wind up competing in?
50 meters.
Okay. Okay. So was going to the Olympics something you had dreamt of as a kid, or did it just
No,
happen?
yeah, it definitely just happened. I feel like throughout my entire swimming career, I was very much more in it for like having fun and never
Okay.
really considered like I never really set like super hard goals for myself. A lot of it was more just like qualitative, like, am I having a good time? Like, am I working hard? But then like junior year of college, that's when I won the 50 free at D3 championships. That's
Okay.
kind of like junior year was the year that I was like, wow, like if I take this a little more seriously and like really like train hard, like maybe something cool could happen. Um, and yeah, so I never like planned on going to trials or like anything like that, but definitely just happy for the opportunity to do so.
So what would you say to people who are either considering it or they're like, okay, I really want to swim and I want to be competitive. Do you have
Mhm.
any tips for them as to what do you think helped you get to this Olympic trial?
I think I guess in terms of tips, like it would be easy to be like, oh, just work harder, like make sure you like swim hard every day, like focus. But I really think that like I got super lucky and like my whole journey there was very much like made possible by the support of like the people around me and especially like my coaches on like my club team, like high school or at Tufts, like they're the ones who kind of really made me see like the potential that I had. And I think that if someone's looking for like tips, I guess just like trusting yourself and trusting your training and to not get like too mental.
Okay, so you graduated from high school in 2016, which means
Hmm.
you probably graduated from college last year in 2020.
Correct.
So did they just move all the qualifiers to this year? Because you weren't swimming, you weren't at school this year. So how did that work, working with Tufts to be able to go back and compete?
Um, so actually at trials, I swim as an unattached swimmer because
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have like a club team that I'm affiliated with. And then, so yeah, for most people, if you swim on a club team, then it's like, it's up to your team for like how they do training. But for me, I kind of just like, I didn't like really work with the coach, but like asked him for some pointers and stuff like that. And he was nice enough to just like write some stuff up for me to train off of.
What was the hardest thing about being at the Olympic trials this year?
Um, Honestly, I wouldn't say anything was like hard. I think the hardest part was preparing for it. I felt like once I got there, it was more just like the cherry on top of like my swimming career. Like I had no expectations going in. I really just like wanted to experience it and like make the most out of it. Um, yeah, I would say the hardest part was probably just like practicing alone and like staying motivated and like making sure I like got there.
Okay, and then in regards to getting there
Mhm.
and being there, what was that like for you to be at these trials? And I don't know if you saw swimmers who were people who you had followed or idolized, or what was that like actually just being there? Not necessarily the competing, but the atmosphere and the sense of being there.
Yeah. So I think that was probably the most unique part of trials, which was that everyone there was just super supportive, super kind. Like all the event staff, like you could tell that they had worked in swimming or like were somehow affiliated because they like knew what they were talking about. They were all like super friendly. And I think just going to a place where I like normally swimming isn't as big of a sport as like football or like baseball or soccer.
Hmm.
But going somewhere where it's like everyone around you like really cared about the sport, that was definitely a cool feeling. Um, and yeah, like while I was there, it was fun to see like a few other of the D3 athletes that I had been racing throughout the years and just
Hmm.
seeing them also like being there as kind of just like friends and like not really competitors or anything. Like we're all just there to enjoy it.
So you didn't make it to the Olympics, but
Mhm.
it sounds like you're feeling pretty good about it. How far did you get and what was that feeling like?
So this year, because of COVID, they split trials into two separate meets.
Okay.
Normally it's one single meet, but so they split it into the faster half and the slower half,
Okay.
and I was in the slower half.
Okay.
But I did make it to the B final, so top 16 out of all of the like out of my half.
Hmm.
And then I won the B final, so then I was placed ninth.
Okay.
Um, so through that race, I like qualified for the faster half, but just with like work and everything, like it wasn't super realistic for me to be able to go for like a second week.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, so no, I was definitely pretty far away. So
But still an exciting opportunity.
oh yeah, for sure. I
Once
definitely
in a
had a
lifetime.
great time. Yeah.
Nice. Now you mentioned work, so what are you doing now, Roger?
Yeah, so I work at Johnson and Johnson,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and I work on a bladder cancer drug device. So I
Very
do like
cool.
R&D in a lab on that.
Very cool. Now, is that
Thank
what
you.
you had hoped to go to school for and do, or is this sort of the first step in a further career?
Yeah, so I graduated from Tufts with a degree in biomedical engineering. So I guess this
Okay.
is kind of the most biomedical engineering you could get. um, and I definitely enjoy what I do a lot. Um, but I think I am thinking about like potentially trying to go to med school in the future. Or, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to explore.
Still figuring it all out, and that's okay.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, Roger, will you keep swimming, you think?
Definitely not as much as like when I was actually preparing to. Um, but I think I do still like really love swimming.
Hmm.
So it's like whenever I feel like it, I'll swim and like hopefully I'll find some way to stay involved in the sport. But
Good.
for now, definitely taking a little break.
Well, good. Well, Roger, it was great talking to you about this experience. Before I let you go, there's one
Mhm.
question I ask all first-time guests to Around the Clock. And as you've
Sure.
never been here, and not too many of our viewers probably know you, this might be easy. Is there something about you, Roger Goo, that
Hmm.
not many people may know that you'd be willing to share with our viewers?
Wow. Um, Something that not many people may know.
Yeah.
Um,
Another thing you've done that people aren't aware of, someplace you've traveled exciting that people not might not know, or
sure. I like gardening as a hobby.
oh,
I'm trying to
okay.
grow some strawberries now, but yeah, definitely not like a super intense gardener or anything, but yeah, I kind of dabble.
Did you do gardening when you lived here at home in Ashland?
Um, Not like extensively or anything, but yeah,
Your
because
parents
like we had
your
a
parents
backyard,
didn't get
so
you to
like
weed the flower bed or something, or
no, we grew more like tomatoes and like cucumbers and stuff.
fun. Good.
Yeah,
Well, Roger, thank you so much for speaking with us. Congratulations on how far you did get,
thank you.
and good luck. And if you ever as you keep going in your career, or if another swimming event happens, let us know and we'd love to share it with our viewers.
For sure. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Great. Well, congratulations and thank you again, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay. And that wraps up this interview with Roger Goo, an Ashland swimmer from class of 2016 who actually went on and got to swim at the Olympic trials this year. And that's it for this section of Around the Clock.